Each and every one of us has an unlimited inner wellspring of spiritual power. You have the ability to transform, create, and heal anything upon which you set your heart and mind. Join me, Sarah Hall, as we learn how to uplift all aspects of your life through spiritual empowerment. Enjoy weekly guided meditations, spiritual discussions on a multitude of topics, and a chance to call in to receive channeled messages from the angels on your spiritual journey. I'm Sarah Hall, and this is Through the Eyes of the Angels. Hi everyone, and welcome to Through the Eyes of the Angels. I'm Sarah Hall, and today we're going to be discussing shamanism, elementals, and earth-based spirituality. Mother Earth is an ancient and powerful being. She is loving, incredibly wise, and a deep wealth of healing power. Nature is just so rich in spiritual energy and diversely inhabited by spiritual beings. Today we're going to be discussing a particular realm of these spiritual beings who inhabit nature, known as the elementals. The elementals include beings we've all heard of and who are recognized by different names throughout the world in almost every culture, including fairies, merpeople, gnomes, spirits, elves, divas, kami, and so forth. So many different names and cultures where they're present. These spiritual beings are very real and have had a relationship with human beings throughout our history. Communicating with these spirits and connecting with them is something that we've done for so long. And that relationship with human beings throughout history is very, very valuable to us. It's an age-old practice that has brought people rich wisdom, healing, and cultural traditions all over the world. One of the practices through which we can access the spiritual realms of nature is known as shamanism. Shamanism is an earth-based spiritual modality that has been practiced for thousands of years on every continent of the world and offers us an incredibly powerful and immersive means of delving into the spirit realm and connecting with spiritual guides, power animals, and yes, even the elementals. So today I am so excited to be joined by special guest Felicia Armstrong. Felicia is a lifelong intuitive, psychic channel, and fairy communicator who works as a shamanic guide, intuitive reader, and she is the force behind Enchanted Apothecary, an all-natural skincare line that Felicia developed with the help of channeled messages from the elementals. Felicia is going to be sharing some of her wisdom with us today, so join me in welcoming her to the show. Hi, Felicia. Thank you for being
Sarah.
here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. It's so great to have you. So I just wanted to start by asking, you have such an amazing connection with the spirit world, and I wanted to know, what is your background in spirituality? Could you tell us a little bit more about your path and why you do what you do?
Absolutely. So I would say that I was very lucky as a child to have had a parent who was open-minded and really allowed me to explore the spiritual experiences that I began having at a very early age. And as I got older, I always felt very resonant to earth-based spirituality. And I finally kind of was able to find my path, which I call a shamanic path. And I do this because it resonates just so deeply to my soul. It's a spiritual practice that has been life-altering for me, and it's incredibly empowering since it's a path of direct revelation. It's not something that you have to look for others for answers for. This is something that you're able to foster on your own by creating these deep, loving relationships with helping spirits that really want to guide you on your path. And I love the fact, too, that anyone can do this. It really just takes dedication and developing these relationships with the helping spirits. And like you said earlier, shamanism is one of the oldest spiritual practices, which I feel is for the reason that it works. This can be a way for anyone, and you'll see results from it. Even if it's just used for yourself, it really kind of creates a more peaceful and harmonious life.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh, I loved what you said about us getting direct experiences.
Yes.
I think that that's so important because so much of religion that you see kind of creates this
Right.
separation between the individual and directly experiencing their spirituality. So that's just so amazing.
I feel
Um,
that way too. It's so empowering to be able to figure it out for yourself and to have that.
Yes. So there are so many different varieties of shamanism as it is something that's existed across many world cultures over thousands of years. And since you are a shamanic guide, I would love to know what your sort of Reader's Digest definition of shamanism is and what do
Perfect.
shamans do?
Perfect. So I experienced shamanism not as a religion, but as an earth based spiritual practice. And the reason for this is, to me, from what I have done and from working with so many clients, I see that you really do talk to so many different types of helping spirits, gods and goddesses. It's kind of like the spiritual modality that's open for everyone. You can see Buddha, you can talk to Jesus, you can speak with the elementals. And I love that about it because it's so non limiting in that way. And I say that a shaman is one who sees in the dark. So somebody that can see into different realities, into different worlds. And they use the relationship with helping spirits not only to heal themselves and to find direction for themselves, but to do this for their communities, for the earth, and all of its inhabitants. And because shamans are not limited by space and time, they can basically do anything of a spiritual nature. I remember learning that traditional Native American shaman would use this practice even to find out where buffalo were, and then they would then send their hunters to these places, and they'd always ask the helping spirits too how many they were allowed to take. And I just think that's beautiful to have so much reverence for the land and for the animals. And now we can use this to heal ourselves, to discover our career paths, even what foods to eat. I mean, it's really unlimited.
Wow, that's amazing. I loved what you said about a shaman as someone who sees in the dark. I think that's just such
Yes.
a powerful statement that is so cool. So I'm curious, how did you get into the practice of shamanism? And you mentioned some of the ways that it helps people too. How have you had any experiences with seeing some healing, progress? Any of the people that you've worked with? How does it help people?
So I guess one of the really cool ways that I have seen it help people is from doing what's called soul retrieval. And soul loss is something that happens at so many times during somebody's life when there's trauma going on. And it's the job of a shaman to go and retrieve what are called lost soul parts and reintegrate them back into the spiritual body and then to the physical. And from doing this, I can't talk enough and speak highly enough of the results that I've seen with people. I remember having a client who told me that after she had a soul retrieval, she felt like she could see color for the first time and like actually physically see the world because she felt so much more grounded and in tune and in her body and was able to fully experience her life. And that was just incredible for me. I mean, I have chills talking about it. And I'm just the channel. I'm a hollow bone, and I'm here to bring the healing through. So the way that I kind of got into it is I feel like I've always had just such a strong connection to the earth. As a child, I spent all of my days outside. I remember making what I called potions out of flowers and plants that I found in nature. And I
Wow.
would I would use rocks to grind them together, and I always felt it had like a magical property. And it's funny because it's exactly what I do now. I'm making skincare, just do it in my kitchen.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, I just like innately knew that nature had just incredible power. And then I was fortunate enough as I got older to be divinely led to a teacher who taught me the principles of shamanism and how to journey. And I immediately knew this was life changing for me and that I could help others with it as well as myself. And a shaman will see any type of illness, whether it be mental, physical, emotional, as having a spiritual root or cause. And then they're able to go into these alternate realities and heal these. So it can really help people with anything. There aren't limits to it.
Yes, that's absolutely amazing. I love your sharing how you got into it, and I think that from what I've seen over my path as well, that people are drawn to shamanism when they are really supposed to have it in their lives. Um,
Yes.
and I wanted to share a quick little story because you reminded me of it, but I had the craziest synchronicity when I was about, I think, 18 or 19 years old. I was going to school and I lived in one of those co-op houses for college students in Ann Arbor. And I was looking at the bulletin board one day and I saw a flyer for Kundalini Yoga, which I had heard about. I'd heard about from many different people, many different places. And I was like, oh, I totally want to try that. It said free Kundalini Yoga, 7:30 p.m. Here's the location. And so I was all excited and I showed up for what I thought was going to be Kundalini Yoga. I got into the room and there's a group of people sitting in a circle and I sat down and everybody's introducing themselves and everything. And I said, oh, I'm Sarah. I'm just interested in Kundalini and I've never done it before. They were like, Kundalini Yoga, this is a shamanic journey group.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
And then they said, this is crazy. They said, we've never before made a flyer for our group. We've been practicing in the
Wow.
same spot, time, day, location for the past 15 years, and there's never been a Kundalini yoga class here
Oh my
before.
gosh.
So I don't know how the universe did it, but it gave me a flyer for something that I was interested in. I didn't maybe wouldn't have gone if it had said shamanism because I might not have known
Right?
about it.
That's incredible.
But I showed up and I started practicing the journeys, and you're right, the journeys are absolutely amazing. It's a lot like I like to describe it to some people like going into a lucid dream sort of
Right.
experience or something like that. Some people get visuals, some people seem not to,
Yes.
just depending on who you are. But it just harkens back to what you said before, that it's something that is so accessible to
Yes.
anybody. You can practice one of these, and it is incredibly eye-opening as to your own spiritual power to see and communicate with spirit.
Right. And you'll find your own way. Everybody will do it, like you said. Some people see, some people hear, and some people just know. And not being attached to your way is perfect because you'll get it in the way that works for you the best.
Yes, yes, absolutely. It's I think that it's amazing. So I wanted to talk about the nature aspect of it because today we are talking about all the earth-based modes of connecting spiritually. And I know that shamanism is a practice that can really deeply connect us with the spiritual forces of nature. And I know that connecting with nature has been a big influencer for both our paths. So I
Yes.
wanted to ask you, what value do you think there is for us in connecting with nature spiritually in general?
Well, I feel like, we're divine beings, but we're also children of the earth. So we kind of have that duality, but it's the same thing. So, especially in our culture, I feel like we've got kind of out of tune with nature and her cycles because we're so busy with, our regular lives that we tend to forget about these things. And our ancestors really did things like planting crops according to the moon cycles. They worked in
Yes.
harmony with the cycles of nature and the seasons. They knew when, to follow the cycles of nature to become more balanced and more peaceful beings. And I feel that's what most of us are looking for. We want harmony in our lives. We want peace. We want to feel calm. And that's what nature brings. The earth gives us everything that we need. It has, everything we eat, how we build our houses, how we make our clothing. So, to have bright futures, I feel like it's just imperative that we start to live in harmony with nature, and nature's ready for it.
Yes, absolutely. I think that that might even be like one of the things that humanity might need the most at
Right.
this time in our world and our evolution as a species. Because you're right, our our modern living does make us in a way disconnected from nature. And nature is it's this incredible wellspring of support and power, and it's a force that is never separate from the overall flow of divine harmony in the entire universe as a whole. Nature doesn't
Right.
resist the flow of source, of God. It's just all flowing in that same kind of current of harmony. And I think that for us, when we spend time in nature, we naturally start to flow in that same rhythm. Our bodies are pieces of the earth. So we get into the earth, and it's like putting a droplet of water back into a stream. It flows in the same direction as the rest of the current, and we begin to start to let go of maybe our stress. We start to heal just a little bit, and yes, learn about how to live more harmoniously and happy with our environment and with one another too. So yeah, I think it's one of the most important things, and having a spiritual connection to the earth is, I think, one of the most intimate kind of windows that you can
Right.
have into that power. So yeah.
Exactly. Beautiful. That's exactly what I would say too. I love the water in the stream because it's, we're all connected and that's exactly what it's like.
Yes. So for people that maybe want to connect a little bit more with the spiritual energy in nature, how would you suggest that people begin tapping into that spiritual power?
Well, it's like you said, nature is spiritual. This is what's real. It's not what we do every day, the mundane things that we do. Getting outside is our reality. So I tell people a lot of the time in readings too, just go outside. How much better do we feel after just taking a walk? And when people are stressed out, this is usually the first place they head to. It's outdoors, and that's for a reason. And I feel like as beings of the earth, we're able to ground ourselves in nature and really begin to kind of gather our strength back and feel what it's like to actually be us and not separate. And
Yes.
honoring the cycles of nature, it's a fact that the full moon creates an energetic surge that causes people to behave in very interesting ways.
Yes, absolutely.
So perhaps, starting to pay attention to the cycles of the moon and doing things according to this, it'll really create more flow in our lives. Instead of fighting against what naturally is, just kind of, following that rhythm. And the more time spent outside, the more things you do to honor the earth, like using natural products, eating organically, recycling, you really begin to make way in your life for the elemental spirits to more easily connect with you by doing all of these things.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I loved especially what you said about nature being the true reality for us. Um,
Right.
I think that that is so true, and I've been really taking nature as such a safe, calm haven lately in the all of the wake of everything that's happening politically right now with the
Right.
election.
Yes, everybody go outside.
Yes, go outside, unplug, get in the quiet, and just let it all go. Because in the
Yes.
end, Mother Earth really is one of the most important things in determining our relationship with one another and how our species will go on and how our
So,
civilization needs to go.
yes.
So yeah, I think that nature is the true reality, and it can be so incredibly healing and inspiring, I guess, to feel that and know that. Um, which it's so interesting too. We were talking about a moment ago about how, yeah, we've got these modern lives, and in our modern lives, we are a little bit disconnected, some of us, from the
Right.
regular flow and the cycle of nature. And I was thinking in the context of, the election and just all the big crazy changes that are going on in this world right now, so many spiritual people have been talking about there's a return of divine feminine. You just got me thinking about this, because getting connected with the earth, and you were talking
Mhm.
about flow and cycles, it does connect us with the more feminine energy side
Mhm.
of life and of spirituality. And honestly, I think that though, okay, our election, our political situation is, and all the changes going on are filled with a lot of seeming turbulence. I really
Right.
believe that we're crossing a bridge right now, and that it's representative of us moving into maybe a little bit more of a feminine, empowered, or balanced reality once we're done, hopefully
Right.
purging out some of the fear. So
I
Yeah.
fully see that too. That's such a great point. And I mean, we're obviously moving in that direction. So it's something that I think if we can kind of all get back and really just in touch with ourselves, and not be deluded by, the things that we're seeing or hearing and really just find ourselves again, and become, like you said, in touch with the divine feminine, that's going to just lead to just overall healing for everybody.
Yes, I think that's such an important message for people to remember and to hear right now. So I'm glad we're
Yes,
all together thinking about that.
definitely.
Yes. So I wanted to go back to the elementals for a little bit, because I think that, there are past ages in our human civilization in which people were a little bit more aware of them or looked to more commonly commune with them and things like that. And I want to know, since you are an elemental communicator, how did you first begin connecting with the elementals?
So I would definitely say this is one that I started doing as a child, and I think everybody does. I think we all come in just being able to connect with all these beautiful spiritual energies, and unfortunately, and I know I've heard you say this too, along the way that kind of starts to go away just from programming we have from adults around us and getting into mainstream society.
Yes.
So when I was a kid, I spent again all my time outside. I was constantly being looked for by my parents. Where'd you go? And I was always outside. And I remember seeing just sparkly white images constantly out of the corner of my eye and trying to chase after them. And of course, never finding anything. But I knew I was seeing something that was sacred. And I never really questioned the fact that fairies existed or that elementals were real. It was just kind of an innate knowing and understanding that I had. And when I began to get older, I remember walking around a beach one evening and just kind of connecting with nature and looking into the trees and seeing these beings. And I was so just amazed and in awe. And they looked just to me like little old men with long hair, longer noses. And I knew they weren't people. And I heard my guides say that they were elementals. And I was told that they were called the guardians. And I asked what
Wow.
that meant. And they said that they were guardians of the trees and they were there to protect the earth. So I just kind of started to open up, as I got older and see all of these different types of elementals that there are. And then when I began to learn to shamanically journey, that's when I was really able to develop a very deep connection with this realm.
Wow, that's amazing.
Thank
I
you.
love that story about being able to see them in the trees. That's just
It
incredible.
was so, I mean, I remember I was with, who's now my husband at the time, and I was like, do you see this? And he can see it also. And we were both seeing the same thing. And it was just something we hadn't experienced before and just felt so lucky. And it's just such an honoring thing to know that, you have access to that, which we all do. And they're there to help.
That's so amazing. And I know a lot of people do experience seeing the sparkles out of the corner of our
Yes.
eyes and things like that. I've experienced that my whole life, and I've talked to so many clients who will ask me, what does that mean? Or what does this color mean? I'm seeing purple or white sparkles out of the
Right.
corner of my eye. And it's you've got the ability to see these spiritual beings when you see these things. And I think you had such a great reaction to it and saying, you know what, I saw it. I decided to open myself up to it even more and accept it. And that's probably good advice for how all of us can start to open up a little bit more and
Right.
begin seeing, is holding the intention to being willing and just allowing it to happen.
Yeah, I really think it's all about, not believing just the things that you hear. It's really about experiencing it. And if you experience it, not doubting that experience, knowing that you saw something and letting yourself sit with it and feel what it is rather than, trying to find it out from someone else and just empowering yourself and figuring it out.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I think that would be such an amazing step for so many that I've talked to and work with who are so interested in getting connected with the elementals. And since we've been talking a lot about, okay, modern life versus, connecting with nature and things like that, do you think that there is a spiritual purpose in human beings now working with elementals? And I guess if so, what would that be? How can they help us and teach us now?
So I definitely do. And from what I hear from the elementals, they're really rooting for us. They want
Yay.
us to live well. That's what I hear all the time. They want us to grow and expand. And they say that they can teach us so much about how to live in harmony with nature rather than against her. And that's what we've really been talking about the whole time. It's
Yes.
everything for humans, it's our health, it's our happiness. They want to teach us about balance and how to live full, healthy lives. And they really want us to evolve, and they know that we need harmony with the earth to continue in a positive way. They also told me that we really need to start paying attention. And I'm getting this guidance, of course, specifically too, because I do make skincare and I am into the more natural things that you put on your body. But they said that we
Yes.
have to watch what we're putting in and on our bodies. And that's something that's becoming increasingly important because we want to make sure in the long run that as humans, they said that our DNA remains intact and it doesn't change or go into something that it shouldn't be, and that we can continue on a higher consciousness and spiritual evolution. So really paying attention to that, and that's what they want to help with. And I think so many people are waking up right now. That's why we have so many beautiful natural skincare lines, and we have so many people that are going back into farming, and there are a lot of people getting in touch with the earth. So the elementals are happy about that, and they're really here to work with us with that.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's so amazing. You have such a beautiful, hopeful, happy message from them, and I love
Oh,
that.
thank you.
Yes, and there's evidence of it too, really. I mean, you see the way
Yes.
that there has been such a huge surge in people demanding more natural products out in the world, more organic eating.
It's incredible.
It's amazing, and it just, I mean, I started, I guess I started experimenting with vegetarianism and veganism about 10 years ago.
Right.
And just in the last even 5 years, there's been an explosion of all the different kinds of natural eating, natural cleaning products for
Yes.
your house, natural skin and hygiene care products and things like that. And I think that that is such a sign of hope for all of us
It
because
is.
yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right that it's something that can positively affect our evolution, and
Yes.
it's to protect our DNA. I got chills when you said that because I've gotten the exact same message. Uh,
Oh, perfect.
yes, yes, I remember it was maybe about a year ago, and I was meditating and trying to connect with Mother Earth, and I received a message just straight from Mother Earth, and she was telling us that it's so important that we get GMOs, for example, out of our
Chills.
systems,
Yes.
and to just embrace more natural way of living on every single front because it's for our health. It's so that we
It
will
is.
continue to thrive. So
It's incredible. And I think it's one of the things, too, that you don't really realize what an impact it has on you until you make the shift. I remember before, years ago when I would wear like artificial perfumes and I ate whatever, I didn't know that I felt so bad until I really started to stop. And I would go near somebody that wore an artificial perfume and it would cause such a terrible reaction in my body. And it took a lot of just that to really see what was going on. So I always say to people, I just suggest just giving it a break, stopping with the artificial chemicals that you use, start eating better, and just watch what happens. That's all you need to do is just see how you feel after, and you will make a change.
yes. Oh my gosh, that's such a great testimony for how that change can affect us. And I've also experienced it myself. I've found that as soon as I got all the chemicals and parabens and phthalates and sulfates and things like that out of
Right.
my products, I started feeling so different, so much better, and eating more pure. I started to feel so much better. And it's interesting because I've noticed that I really believe all of us need this, but those who seem to be on a spiritual path or who are consider themselves to be spiritually sensitive feel like it's more important than ever to
That's a
start.
great point. That is so
Yeah,
true. I always say, if I could be sensitive to anything, like I will be the person that is.
me
And
too.
it's yes, of course. And it's, because again, we are more sensitive by nature, but it is something that can be cultivated and learned for anybody. Just once you start becoming in touch, it's kind of a side effect, and it's a good thing because it's like your spiritual barometer, telling you what's good for you and what isn't.
Yes, absolutely. And it's a sign too. I think that there's more of us kind of moving over into that because there's a shift going on right now. I
Hmm.
think that there's more and more people that are kind of awakening to a spiritual path and to a sense of purpose with the collective shift that's going on, and it's naturally attuning us to know or feel or understand what is in harmony with the earth and with one another and the things that aren't, and we find that we're less tolerant to the things
Right.
that aren't. So
Exactly.
yeah. Now I have to say, for everybody listening, I have to tell you, Felicia's skincare line, Enchanted Apothecary, is amazing.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
yes, it is. Everything she makes smells absolutely heavenly, and it feels so great on your skin. And the thing I like best about it is that it is all natural. So if you are physically or spiritually sensitive like I am, I know that, like me, you're probably out there looking for the natural products for your body. So, Felicia, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about your skincare line and what was the inspiration behind Enchanted Apothecary.
Well, the inspiration was definitely the forest and the realm of the fae. I first journeyed years ago, and the first place that I was brought to was the realm of the fae. And it was so incredible for me. I was immediately shown which ingredients to kind of start to use and what were to be in the Enchanted Apothecary products. And then they began to gift me with recipes, and I started to make these things. And, of course, they worked, and it was just incredible. They told me, I remember one of the first times was to use jasmine flowers. And I saw fairies kind of flying around these flowers. And they started to show me that the jasmine flowers bloom at night, so they contain the moon's restorative essence. And so
Wow.
I created a facial moisturizer called Moon Essence. And then I was shown as the second part of it to put earth crystals into each product. And that would charge them with the specific energies that each crystal has. So Moon Essence was given a moonstone to
Wow.
nourish the skin, yeah. And then also increasing its hydration while increasing your intuitive abilities too. So each ingredient was shown to me in a specific way, not just for the incredible therapeutic properties, but for its vibration and also its spiritual energy.
Wow. I think it's so magical and amazing that you've incorporated spiritual work into this. And I think that that is an incredibly kind of cutting edge thing. I think that, as we were talking about before, there's such a growing um, market or need or desire out there for people to connect more with things that are natural, but also things that can enhance our lives as a whole, to connect us with our spirituality and things like that. So having something that
Yeah.
has an intention in it like that, I think that that's amazing, and it's very, very empowering.
Thank you so much. I feel like we're all meant to show up in a spiritual way. And of course, it's all different. And for me, my way is to be a shamanic practitioner, an intuitive guide. And also, the other way I was meant to show up was to bring this forward. And it's incredibly honored. It's just such an incredible experience for me. I can't talk enough about it. And I know that we all have, our specific spiritual purposes. So I just encourage everybody, try to find that for yourself. It's life altering, and you can do so much for yourself and the collective with your gifts.
Yes, and I think that with the shift that's going on right now, following our passion to find our true calling and to find our
Hmm.
gifts is what the world needs the most. Uh,
Yes.
the world doesn't need another person that feels unsatisfied having some kind of a job they don't really identify with.
Right.
It needs those of us who are on our purpose and just going for it. And I've just seen so many times that when we take a leap of faith and we do that, the universe catches us, and
It
law of
does.
attraction helps to eventually help create the support that you need so that you can do your passion, you can do your life purpose, and make a living as well. So
Yeah, that's an
that's
incredible point. If you're meant to do something and you're spiritually called to do it, the universe will support you in it. I mean, there's no doubts. Things will open up for you. Your path will be wide open. You just have to continue to follow the guidance you're getting and follow that path, and it'll be there.
Yes, and that's something that can be so personally empowering for anybody, whether you're in the middle of already following your path or maybe you're just starting out with trying to find it, that you have a voice and a say in how the world is working by the things that you do to yourself and in your own life. So I know that there's been a lot of turbulence lately, again, with the socio-political climate out there and things like that.
Right?
So yeah, so having people just focus on you're not disempowered. You have a lot of say and a lot of power with following your path and making a difference in your everyday life as you go.
Yeah, that's an incredible point.
Yeah. So I want to get this in there. We all want to know where we can buy your products.
Oh, right. So we have our products in a Whole Foods store in Rochester, Michigan. And we also have a website that's being worked on right now. We have a new one coming soon. I'm super excited about it. So we're kind of having all of our traffic go through Etsy. And there we're under Enchanted Skincare. And then we have this very cool little metaphysical store in California called Cult of Gemini that carries our products as well.
That is awesome. Awesome. Yay. Well, you heard it, guys. Get to the website. They're working on it, but you got to save the website, bookmark it right now. It's enchantedskincare.com, and go look up Enchanted Skincare on Etsy as well. That's a great place to find things. And also, I'll be sharing the links and the information for all of that once more on Facebook and Twitter again, so you'll all know where to find it. And also, Felicia, I wanted to see if you could give us some info on where people might be able to contact you for a reading or a shamanic healing.
Sure. So I have right now a page on Facebook, and it's called Felicia Armstrong, Intuitive Practitioner, and working on a website for myself as well. But you are more than welcome to contact me through the Facebook page, and I take appointments through there. And I also work out of a healing center in West Bloomfield. It's absolutely incredible, with a group of highly gifted readers and intuitives. And my mentor is the one who created it, and it's called Sacred Balance, and I book appointments through there as well.
Wonderful. And everybody, I will also be sharing the link to Felicia's Facebook page so that you can all like it and you can message her there to get yourself a reading or a healing. And she does now offer these readings and healings via Skype as well. So even if you're not local to the Michigan or Detroit area, you can still get a session with Felicia, and she is wonderful. So I highly suggest it.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yes. So now I would like to open up the phone lines to receive some calls from our audience. So guys, you can call in at 240-979-4111. That's 240-979-4111. You can call in with any questions or thoughts that you have on our discussion today, or you can request, very exciting, a fairy reading with Felicia and I. So while we are just opening up the phone lines and waiting for a caller to come through, we will begin by doing a general fairy reading just for everybody who is listening. And I was wondering, maybe, Felicia, if you could just start and
Sure.
give us anything that you've got. This will be fun.
Sure. So I love that you've kind of been talking about what everyone's going through politically and how charged people have been. I mean, you see it kind of all over social media. And it's disheartening for me because it's one of those things where, people get really stuck in what they feel, and I understand it, but I feel like from what I keep getting from the earth and from the elemental realm is they really want us to kind of get back in tune with ourselves and our inner truth rather than what we're seeing through media and what we're hearing from other people. And if we could do that and, come at it from a place of love, it will kind of shift completely what's going on and help to just bring awareness and a much better climate for all concerned to what we're going through at the moment.
Yes, absolutely. I think that that's such an incredible message, and it's so very, very important for us. We need to lighten our vibration at this time, I really
Yes.
believe, because it's there. We are a collective, and so we
Hmm.
are sensitive to what's going on at a collective, at the collective level out there in the world.
Right.
If there's a lot of fear that's being shared, a lot of us can feel it. It feels like a little heavy cloud, and I've heard things like that there's more bullying and there's violence that's up, and you never know how much you
Right.
can exactly verify these statistics, but I wouldn't be surprised simply because, again, the stress levels have been up lately with
Yes.
everything that's going on. So with that, I decided to actually pull a couple of cards from a fairy oracle card deck just to add on to the beautiful
Beautiful.
messages. Yes, I'm working with the Healing with the Fairies oracle card decks by Doreen Virtue, and the first card I pulled for us today is the Beauty card.
Mm.
And the message I get from the Beauty card is that beauty is the recognition of the presence of God, of spirit. So when we see, for example, a beautiful sunrise or sunset, or we look at the stars, probably anywhere in the world, no matter what culture or language you speak, no matter what time period you lived in, you recognize that as beauty, and you go into a state of awe. And it's like you're touching God. There's a part of you that's reminded of your source, of where we come from when we connect with beauty. So to raise our vibration during this time, which again is so very important, let's bring more beauty into our world. Find a way that you feel called to connect with beauty. The next card that I pulled, and I love these cards because they just give such sweet and simple guidance. The next card is the kindness card.
Mm.
And the kindness card tells us that every time, there's fear that is shared out there, and worry, that is floating around in the human, collective, you have the power to counteract it by sending love, by sending kindness out into the world. And I'm hearing the fairies tell us we can just envision it, imagine it, focus on it, or we can act. We can go out and be kind and loving to another person. We can just connect in a way that brings more of that love into the world, and that will be so incredibly helpful. The final card that I pulled over here, I'm just going to turn it over and see what we have, is the body movement card. And I think that this is actually such an amazing message. You've got to love law of attraction when it comes to picking these things.
Yes.
Because body movement is such a way of releasing stress. It's such an amazing way of releasing negativity and clearing yourself so that you feel good. And I find too that body movement, especially when done out in nature, taking a walk, going
Yes.
dance outside under the moon, do whatever you
Right.
want, it's going to connect you with planet Earth, and it's going to clear you and get you into what we were talking about before, that sense of the true reality that is out there. So, oh, good. It looks like we have a caller. So, caller, thank you so much. You are on the air. If you could go ahead and just tell us your name and where you're calling from today.
Hi, it's Nick Bryce calling from Kalamazoo currently right now.
Hi, Nick. Thank you so much for calling today. Do you have any questions or thoughts for either of us?
Well, I was just sent a message by Philo, and he said call if I wanted to get a reading from you, Sarah. It's good to hear from you.
Yes, it's great
I
to
don't know
hear
if
from
you,
you too.
yeah, it's Nick Bryce, but
All right. Well, I
cool. You
will
guys are giving reading?
yes, we are doing fairy readings. So I will go ahead and pull just a couple cards for you, and then Felicia can chime in as well and see
Sure.
what other messages you might have. So the first card that I pulled for you is the Problem Resolved card. And once again, we're still working with those Healing with the Fairies cards. So this tells us that if there's been any turbulence going on in your life or anything where you've had a lot of stuff to figure out and work with, the problem is resolved or your ship is about to come in, is the feeling that I'm getting. The second card for you is the higher consciousness card, saying that the route to getting to your problem resolved, to your solution at the end of this, comes through inspired ideas, divinely inspired ideas that you are getting. And another message that I'm hearing out of that too is by connecting with like-minded people who seem to be on a similar path. And I'm hearing the fairies give us a little message saying you can tell whose energy you align with the most and whose maybe you don't, by the way that you feel around them, because it feels as if, Nick, you've got a really strong intuitive energy within you as well. So that's really wonderful. And then I'm just going to pull our final card here. And oh, this is so interesting. They were just talking about relationships with other people, and I pulled the romantic partner card. So it looks as if this is something that seems to come of, I guess, sharpening your maybe boundaries or your focus as far as who you connect with and what you do and the energies you engage with, because it brings a romantic partnership closer to your life. So, Felicia, do you have anything to add to that?
I do. Hi, Nick. So when I first tuned into you, they immediately showed me you kind of standing in front of, it looked like an audience, almost like you're giving a presentation. And I heard, share your gifts. I heard, no self-doubt. It's time to do what you feel and really step into your own power. And it's a time of just empowerment for you on like a personal level, that you know what to do. You have the expertise, you have the skill, and to just really work on getting rid of self-doubt. And they're saying very much you're very capable and you're able to do this. I'm also seeing very much that everything is there for you. Like the universe has placed everything in front of you, and it's kind of just waiting for you to stand up and grab it. You just have to work a little bit on the self-doubt and kind of coming into yourself, and things will really start moving fast and flowing for you.
Wow, that's such a cool life purpose themed message. Any thoughts or questions on that, Nick? I don't know if he can still hear us. We might have had a little bit of a technical difficulty with that, but that's okay. So
he's
Nick,
speechless. No,
yes. He got his message, and I think that was so beautiful because it linked us right back to our theme when we were talking earlier about people getting on their paths. And it looks as if we have another caller just waiting to get on. So caller, you are now on the air. Thank you so much for calling in. If you could just introduce yourself with your name and where you're calling from for today.
Hello?
Hi, you are on the air. Thank you for calling in. What is your name?
My name is Rocco. I wasn't sure I was on the air because no one said anything.
Yeah, we're testing out actually a new way of receiving our callers. So there might be a few little tech bugs, but thank you so much, Rocco, for calling in. Do you have any questions for Felicia or I for today?
Well, I would like to get one of those fairy readings and see what develops there. All
right. Well, I guess I will go ahead and start this one as well. I am just going to pull, I'm feeling guided towards 3 cards for today. And this one I'm going to pick from a different fairy deck that I have. I'm also working with the Magical Messages from the Fairies deck by Doreen Virtue. And the first card that I pulled for you today is the Your Desire is Within Reach card. Your desire is within reach. And I'm feeling a sense that you're being called to connect. Again, I'm getting a similar message as before for our other calls.
I was too.
Yeah, I love the way there's these themes that you're being called towards like-minded people, and that even if you feel like, okay, I've dealt with some struggles, or there's been some blockades up on my path trying to make some progress in the things that I've been doing. I'm really hearing that you're about to break through. They're saying that it's always darkest before the dawn can be true sometimes, and that in your case there is a miracle that's just about to come through, some kind of a breakthrough. which is actually really cool because I literally just turned over the next card, and it is the Your Wish is Granted card. I think it's just so amazing how these cards are telling us such a clear story. So it looks as if you are about to manifest something that you desire. And it's interesting because specifically I'm feeling a little windfall in the area of abundance, of material support, opportunities, could be finances and things like that. The final card I pulled for you is the emotional healing card, saying that once you kind of get through any of these, as we said before, blockades or barriers that you've been dealing with, and you start to see the manifestation of your desires and your goals coming true, because again, it feels like it's right around the corner, there is emotional healing involved. It feels as if you're able to breathe a sigh of relief, and there's this sense of just being so beautifully supported in the world again. And the last little message that I'm hearing the fairies give on that too is they're saying, why wait for the emotional healing, to happen after you get the results? Love yourself and be relaxed and have faith and be joyful and celebrate. I love when the fairies tell us to play and celebrate, because that will attract your desire to you very, very quickly as well. Any other guidance from Felicia?
Sure. Hello. So I am getting very strongly, I keep hearing the word teacher, and I'm being told that you have a message that you are a teacher and you have things that you need to say or some way that you need to show up in the world where you are kind of mentoring others or helping others move forward, even in like a management position, but that's part of what your path is. And I heard also to keep your head up, that you're very skilled. And again, it's kind of like that self-doubt theme. Just don't doubt your capabilities. I just keep seeing that you can run things. You can take a handle on them, and you can do this. And I also got something with, I keep seeing the ability for you to have like a big change in your life. And I kept hearing, if you're feeling like you're ready to make this change, do it. You never have to stay in anything that doesn't serve you. You can shift and you can really step into what your real desires are. And I feel like you have an idea of what they are, and now is the time to open up to that.
Wow, that's awesome. Any other questions or thoughts on that, Rocco?
No, just you, Sarah, and Felicia are on point about everything.
Yay!
No more than I do. Well, I mean, everything is really accurate in what's going on, and continue to go on. And if it wasn't for the fairies, I wouldn't have gotten in contact with Sarah Hall, because one night I was like, I wonder if there's any meditations with fairies, and I went on YouTube, and that's where I met Sarah. I was like, oh.
That's incredible.
And so I started doing your meditations.
That's awesome. I'm so glad
and then if you go down the line, it's Doreen Virtue that's actually the one responsible, because she's the one that I saw a book. I was like, wow, there are fairies. And I read the fairy book, the one I want. I was talking to them when I lose my keys or whatever. Where's my keys? Guys, come on. I'm recycling. You should help me out.
That's wonderful.
That's amazing. I'm so glad you're on a path getting connected to them. And I just so believe that people are brought together in the right places at the right time and under the circumstances necessary for us to receive the support and the guidance that we need. So I'm just thankful that you're here, that you were guided to this, and that we all got to connect.
Yeah, it's great talking to you both, especially Sarah, because she's the one that I just fell in love with all these meditations and put them on my iPod, and it's like, wow, and like spreading the word to other people, and some people didn't react, and some people were like, oh wow, this lady's awesome. Like, I was meditating her all day.
That's wonderful.
Oh,
all
that's
right,
wonderful. Thank you so much. That's so sweet. Oh, he's so nice. That made my heart just sing.
Good.
Yay. It looks like, we had a caller, but it looks as if we might have, the call might have dropped. So that's okay. Because it looks as if we're going into just the last 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes or so. So in that last amount of time, actually, I thought it would be fun to just maybe end with one last fairy card for everybody. And I'm going to go ahead and see what we get for today. Oh my gosh, this is so funny. This is from the Magical Messages from the Fairies deck as well, the other deck I was working with, and it's the Flower Power card.
That's great.
And I think that it's so great because we've been talking about natural skincare products today and botanicals. And this card, literally, it says right in it to spend more time with flower essences because these things are incredibly healing.
They are.
And the deep message that I'm getting out of this today, I'm just getting this incredible sense of energy, almost like I'm being lifted up by this fountain of energy right beneath me by the fairies. And they're saying this stuff really does work. Connect in with the medicines of the earth because these things affect you on all levels of your being, mind, body, and spirit.
Yes.
And I'm
That's
hearing
incredible.
them underline spirit because you connect with these things and your spirit opens, it sensitizes, and you can receive so much. So yeah. Any other thoughts or closing fairy messages from you, Felicia?
I just love that you said that. I mean, flowers and plants, they not only affect us on a physiological level, but they really have energy in them, and everything has energy. So if you look at it in that way and understand that when you're using plants or flowers, herbs, whatever it is, that you're also, imbuing yourself with the different energies that you have, or that the plants have. I mean, it really creates like such a full experience. And I'm so thankful for the plants for offering themselves to us in that way and allowing us to use them to help ourselves and to nourish ourselves.
Yes. Wow. That's amazing. It's all about lifting up our vibration right now too, remember, and connecting with these beautiful plants and the spirits connected to them. It does.
Yes.
It uplifts our vibration, and that's just what we need.
Exactly. And there are spirits connected to all of the plants, and they have messages to share, just like they're the elementals, and they want to speak and to help us. They're all here for us, for our moving forward and our growth and expansion.
Yes. So get outside and start communicating with the plant spirits, and get your enchanted apothecary because that will help too. And also it just smells so good. It feels like a spa in my bathroom when I use it. It's so great. So thank you so much, Felicia. We are now coming to the end of our show for today, and I wanted to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart for tuning in. You can join us again next month on Thursday, November 17th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Our show topic will be how to care for your spiritual sensitivity, a discussion on how lifestyle and dietary changes can aid those of us who are sensitive to psychic spiritual energies. We talked a little bit about that today too, so it's a perfect little intro. And I want to thank our wonderful guest, Felicia Armstrong, for sharing her wisdom and guidance with us today. Thank you so much, Felicia.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be a part of your incredible show. Thank you so much.
Yay, we'll have to have you back real soon. This was great.
I love it.
So once again, you can order Felicia's incredible Enchanted Apothecary skincare products by visiting her Etsy shop at Enchanted Skincare. Do save enchantedskincare.com as well, because that website will be up soon. And once again, I'll also be sharing that link on Facebook and Twitter for all of you. And you can contact Felicia for a reading that you can have either in person if you're in Michigan or via Skype by liking her Facebook page, Felicia Armstrong, Intuitive Practitioner. I will be sharing her page with all of you on my Facebook and Twitter as well, so you'll know where to find it. You can find me on Facebook by visiting facebook.com/SarahHall1111. That's SarahHall1111. My Twitter page, where I can be found at Seraphim444. That's SERRAPHIM444. Or on my YouTube channel, where you will find free guided meditations and bi-monthly angel readings coinciding with the new and full moon. You can contact me via my website at www.seraphim.com. That's SERRAPHIM.com if you'd like a reading or healing session with me. If you would like to listen to this show on rebroadcast, it will be airing each Thursday at 12:30 p.m. on Project Bring Me to Life Radio until our next live show on November 17th. So tune in at projectbringmetolife.com/radio. You can also download the podcast of this show on iTunes by searching Through the Eyes of the Angels. And it's also featured on the app for Android users, Stitcher. That's Stitcher, Stitcher. And lastly, you can always find this show on Spreaker.com. That's Spreaker.com, where you can search Project Bring Me to Life Radio or Through the Eyes of the Angels. And of course, I'll be sharing all of those links with you on Facebook and Twitter as well, so you'll have all the information. And for more fantastic spiritual talk radio, music, art, podcasts, events, and so much more, visit www.projectbringmetolife.com. Thank you so much again for tuning in today. It was absolutely wonderful to connect with all of you, and know as always, until we meet again, that you are so loved and so very blessed. Bye!